Hello, everybody. I hope you are keeping well. It's nice to see you all. How are you? Come in, and tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to come and join us at the Audacity Mentor page. We are having a wonderful discussion, Chasing Courage. So please let me know when you come in. My phone is on hand so that we can be able to start this discussion. It's been a long time as well since I came live. So I seek forgiveness. As I was telling my guests who are here, introvert issues by the time we psych ourselves to show up live. So as you come in, please acknowledge, especially Linda's friends, family. I hope you've come to cheer her on and to support her. So please come in. I'm trying to still check if we are live, but on my side it says we are. So welcome to this afternoon's discussion of Chasing Courage. My name is Wairimo. I'm your host, the Audacity Mentor, and that's why we are in the page called the Audacity Mentor page. And my guest for today is Linda Tendwa, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about her, but she'll tell you even much more as she educates us on this all-important topic of postpartum depression and how mothers can deal with it using infant massages. Interesting topic. I don't think I've ever had those two linked together. So I'm a student just like you. Yeah. So allow me, as the rest of you are coming in, to just be doing an introduction so that I can allow Linda to have as much time as she needs to take us through today's session. So let's have this conversation together. So chasing courage, and the full topic that we're going to discuss is infant massages, using infant massages to reduce the effects of postpartum depression. And the key word there is using infant massages to reduce, because I'm sure there's still so much more you can do, but this is one of the ways. And we are so happy to have Linda, who is the CEO of My Infant Spa Kenya, which, just the name is incredible, and very unique. Okay, so I want to tell you about other Chasing Courage conversations. If you're new to my page because you've come from Linda's circle, or you just came upon the poster as it was going around, you can look for other Chasing Courage conversations on my channel, Wairimo Kani, and you'll find other warrior moms who have been able to share their stories. So don't feel like this is the first one. This is one of many. But again, the one thing that's unique is that everybody has a powerful story all on their own. Nobody's story can be replicated. Everybody's story is unique. And so please go and also see what other warrior moms have been able to share. Now, because I acknowledge that we also have new people in this who have come to visit my page, allow me to briefly introduce, as my friends, the ones who know me, can go get a cup of tea, water, whatever it is that you need to keep you hydrated as we listen to Linda. I am a wife and a mom of 3. I'm a Christian-based mom mindset and life mentor. I'm an encourager, and I love sharing that because it's one of my spiritual gifts. And then I'm the founder at Audacity Coaching and Mentoring Services and the Audacious Mom School, which is an online school that I would encourage you to go and visit so that you can see the free stuff that I have there to help with your personal growth, and also the courses that are upcoming. And I'm also the author of Wired Weird. Now, for those who've been on my page for so long, I used to have that upcoming author, then it went to author, but no book. But now I'm so happy and so excited to present to you my book. Yeah. In fact, one of the ladies we are in right now already has my book. I'm so proud and I'm so grateful. And my book is titled Wired Weird because I believe we are all different. God created us all differently, but perfectly suited for the assignment that he has given us. And so in the book, I share the journey to discovering God's cues, clues, and calling in my story. And what I've heard from those who've been reading my book is that it helps them reflect on their own lives. And that was the intention when I wrote the book. It's not just about knowing a little bit about Wairimo, but it's mostly that you pause and reflect on your own story. So you can find my book at the Nuria store, online store, So just go to www.nuriakenya.com, but also in the description of today's conversation, I've left a link so that you can be able to get a copy of yourself. If you want one autograph, DM me so that I can find a way to autograph my book for you. But I'll talk about that another time. Today is Linda's Day. For those who are new, my calling is to work with mothers who are prioritizing their personal growth so that they're able to build the bankable personal or business brands. Because like I said, we are all wired, weird, we are all different, we are all odd. And because of that, then there's a way that you can use that difference and monetize it. So I just help moms to then recognize what that brand is and package it and monetize it to the glory of God, so that as mothers, we can be able to design the life we desire and that God approves without compromising faith or family. So those are the two. Even as we are building bankable brands, as we are earning the money, as we are getting known, we do not compromise faith and family. So if this resonates with you and you feel I've been looking for something like this, please reach out. I'm always happy and I always give a listening ear. You can also, for those who are new to personal growth, like completely you don't know where to start, you can go and find my Life Redesign Starter Kit Masterclass. I share 3 strategies, and within those strategies, I share 7 steps that you can use to design your next personal growth move, and you can find it through the website there. So listen, personal growth is something that's so important for mothers. Don't just be stagnant, you know, and even when you're going through challenges, as we're going to learn about today, don't set aside your own growth because you're supporting everybody else. Make yourself part of the priority list, isn't it, mothers? So as always, I share a verse that leads us through this conversation, even as we invite God into our conversation for today. So our reading comes from 2 Corinthians 12, verses 9, and this is the NET version. And it says, "But he said to me," and this is Paul saying what God said to him in a conversation, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. So then I will boast most gladly about my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may reside in me." You know, the one thing is, even as Christians, even as women who we are saying we're not going to compromise our faith, we're not going to compromise our family, is that hardships are inevitable. Falling into what we're going to learn today, the postpartum depression, it happens, but that doesn't mean that God is not faithful or God is not present. He says that in our weaknesses, in those times when we feel broken, in those times as mothers, we just feel at our worst, his grace is enough for us, that his power is made perfect. In those times of weakness, just know if no one else is rooting for you, God is rooting for you and he will carry you through. You know, Paul prayed to God and told him almost 3 times, you know, remove this thorn in my flesh. We don't know what it was, but it must have been something that, you know, Paul just did not want in his life. And for some mothers, this type of depression stays with them longer. For some, it's mild, like I had. For some, it is, you know, even evolves into something bigger. But do not fret. Just know that God's grace is sufficient. Even if it's your wife, because we have some fathers who are in this group, even if it's your wife who is going through postpartum depression, even in those moments, God's grace is sufficient for you. So whatever thorn in the flesh you have, shift from self-dependence or other dependence to God dependence. And when you use God dependence, what does he do? He sends family members, he sends support system, he links you with the right doctors. His grace is sufficient. And I can't wait for you to hear many stories of how using infant massages can be one of the ways that God has provided, so that then the way you're feeling, you know, the way you're just tired and exhausted, that's one of the ways he has raised Linda up to provide this solution. There's a song by Torren Wells, with my son is listening to right now, called "Until Grace." And there's a part of the song that says, grace is, until grace, you know, is calling my name. And I'm saying grace is calling your name. Whatever it is you're going through, Maybe it's not, you cannot relate to postpartum depression right now, but there's a financial issue, there's an emotional issue, there's a marriage issue. Whatever it is, remember, God's grace is enough for you, is sufficient for you. So let us pray. Almighty God, we just want to thank you for being in our midst, keeping us safe until we have gathered together to just chase courage together. Thank you that your grace is sufficient. And as your own, as Linda, who you have raised and given an assignment to use infant massages, steps up to the platform to be able to encourage other mothers, I just pray that you help her have coherent thoughts. I pray that her flow of ideas is smooth, and that all of us who are listening to her will not just be wowed by the work that she's doing, but will also remember a mother who could benefit from listening to her and using her services. So be with us through this hour or so that we are together, and just help us to have a marvelous learning time. So be in our midst and take over. And thank you that in any and every situation, Lord, and especially in those moments of weakness, your grace is sufficient. Thank you, Almighty God. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen, amen, amen. So as you're coming in, ladies, I'm so happy. I think we should be having some people in by now. Let me see. So our topic for today is using infant massages to reduce the effect of postpartum depression. Like, this is amazing. I'm just a learner today. And this is what Linda says, that 1 in every 10 women suffers. I'm sure it's something that she got from her line of work. But for me, when I was reading it, I was like, wow, 1 in every 10 women suffer from postpartum depression, which means if you're listening in an office and you're 10 women, there'll be one who suffered or could be suffering. We're in a circle of new mothers. If you 1 in 10, I mean, that's such a small number. That means this thing is so prevalent. And so it's important, even if you do not have or know anyone, maybe one day you'll be a grandmother and you'll have to support your daughter or your daughter-in-law or a friend. So this information is not just for knowledge sake, it's because it will come in handy. And Linda says that postpartum depression is not rare, it's just invisible. And so when we carry those baskets, gift baskets, and visit mothers, ask them, how are you doing? Just find out, because they may feel shy. Why? Because the assumption is when you're a woman, you're born with this plug of perfection that everything is okay. Even those who look okay, ask them, are you okay? Because it's invisible. Yeah. So Linda is an infant massage specialist and founder of My Infant Spa Kenya. She's a mother of 2. In fact, one of her babies was in the NICU after delivery, and she could have easily slipped into postpartum depression were it not for her support system. And that's so important. You could be their support system that helps a mother not slip into PPD. She was motivated by the growing number of cases of PPD, and after numerous classes, she began seeing the positive effects that infant massages had, not only on the baby, but also on the mother. You know, the things that obedience does, that as you're obeying God's assignment, he even helps you to impact even more people. Now, My Infant Spa is a mobile baby massage service that empowers moms and dads by giving infant massage classes in the comfort of your home. So it's not that you have to travel too far. She comes where you are, and she's able to help your baby and in turn help you as well. So Linda reminds me of my sister. I have a sister, like, she loves babies. She loves how they smell. It seems funny, but again, we are all wired weird. She loves their smiles, and she also studied developmental psychology, and she'll tell you a little bit about this because I'm just reading, but I know I got to meet Linda and we had good conversations. I know her mom, I know her, I think, is it auntie? Yeah. So it's amazing how God brings people together. And when she's not massaging babies, she's developing procurement policies and procedures for organizations. So ladies, you're in good hands. So it's not that she just does My Infant Spa Kenya, but she also has other qualifications, and she'll tell you where she worked and how it is that she does procurement again. So without further ado, I'm so excited to welcome Linda to take us through this topic, using infant massages to reduce the effects of postpartum depression. So Linda, I'm so excited to have this conversation with you because like I said, I think I met your mom first. We were in a group, and then we were linked with your auntie. She was my accountability partner. And then so when we started talking with you, I was like, you are perfect as an individual. Like now we are friends. Leave them on the side. Now we are friends because we both serve mothers. Our heart is for mothers. And so it's just that your calling is linked to their babies. So we are all called differently. There is no competition with women. We are all collaborating. God has sent us people to serve, and I can't wait to hear more about your work because like I said, I'm as green as everybody listening, except maybe your mom and those who surround you. So please, Linda, welcome and tell us more about My Infant Spa Kenya and the work that you do.
Thank you so much, Wairimo. The ladies, gents on the group, I'm so excited to be here. I'm like Wairimo has said, we met a few weeks ago. And, you know, it was one of those conversations after 10 minutes, I realized that the only things that were coming out of my mouth were, yes, it's true. You know, I felt like we shared so much. And I love the title of your book. I'm also, you know, drawn to weird titles like those. They really draw me, and I'm genuinely so happy to be here and really just to share the positive effects that infant massages have, and especially on moms. And of course, to alleviate the effects of postpartum depression. So I talk a lot, but I also have a lot of stories. I am a storyteller, so I'm 100% sure you will enjoy my session. So I'll just begin by sharing my screen. Tell me when you can all see it. There we go. Using massages to reduce the effects of postpartum depression by Linda Tendwa. Now, I can't introduce myself without introducing this amazing lady called Lavi Ajayi Jones. She's an Nigerian American, and she calls herself a professional troublemaker, meaning that she's a whistleblower. She doesn't just sit back and watch injustices happening in the world. She speaks up against injustices. And she's able to speak up in front of crowds, in front of big firms, and say, listen, guys, you got to stop doing this. She calls herself the professional side eye maker or something of the sort. I forget that. Anyway, Lavi is the author of I'm Judging You, the Do Better Manual, and the Professional Troublemaker, the Fear Fighter Manual. Now, Lavi reckons that we need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Right? A lot of us fear being uncomfortable. A lot of us would rather sit in silence than speak up. Her values, and this is one of the reasons why I feel that she really speaks to my heart, are honesty, integrity, justice, and shea butter. She believes that the world needs to be moisturized one individual at a time. And I 100% support her. She says in a world that wants us to whisper, she chooses to yell, and we should all yell. And lastly, and this is so powerful, that fear has a very concrete power of keeping us from doing and saying the things that are our purpose. I find this so powerful, ladies and gents. A lot of us sit on our purpose. A lot of us are professional troublemakers. But there's a lot of fear that we sit with that doesn't allow us to spread our wings. Now, I believe that as women, we are just created professional troublemakers. You know, we're the whistleblowers in the home, we're the loudest. our kids fear us the most. But at the top of the list, let me tell you, it's African women. Look at us. We do big things. We're the loudest. We are just incredible women. We're extraordinary. However, we have been conditioned to believe that we must adapt to the world, that the world mustn't adapt to us. Right? Linda is a size 14. We're told, wow, size 14, that's a wonderful size. Beautiful curves, huh? But just imagine if you were a size 8. And to ensure that they push this message, they put thousands of billboards in our faces with very tiny women. On social media, Kim Kardashian, 2 weeks after giving birth, has bounced back. Flat tummy. And you're still there with your pouch. Can you imagine that? You're told, oh, you got cellulite. Oh, that's not bad. That's not too bad. But on your way to work, there's a billboard that reads, say no to cellulite. Ladies, we have been conditioned into believing that we must adapt to the world. We must reduce our volumes when we're talking in our mother tongue on the phone. You're too loud. Why are you so loud? Why must you walk like that? And when we walk into rooms, by the way, we command a lot of respect. You can tell an African woman from so far. Besides the fact that we're super loud, but there's just something about us. There's just an aura about us. I call myself a professional troublemaker. Now, from a very early age, I've been a troublemaker, and I'm sure my mother is on the line going, I've always been obsessed by war and conflict. Always. I couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand how your next door neighbor would be convinced one day to wake up and finish you. How? So I started to read books on this. One of the first books that I ever bought, or my mother ever bought for me, was called The Angel of Grozny. And it was about the genocide and the war in Chechnya. Now, at the time, I had no idea where Chechnya is, what Chechnya is, really what genocide involved, So reading it really inspired a lot. And I continued to read more about now in the African context around the genocide. And as I joined university, I figured I'd write my thesis on the plight of refugees in Kenya. And to do this, because I am a professional troublemaker as well, I thought, why don't I go to a refugee camp? Why should I stay in Nairobi and do my research on it? Let me take myself to the refugee camp. So one morning, I went to Wilson Airport, took a flight to Kakuma refugee camp, said bye to my family, bye to my friends. A lot of people didn't understand why are you doing this? Like you're barely even 21. Just have a good time. This is your time to have a good time. But I thought, no, I have to do this. So I left Nairobi. It was a very awful plane ride. Wow. Super bumpy. I experienced a lot of nausea. And then we landed and the airstrip was like in the middle of nowhere. Nowhere. I couldn't believe. And of course, now Kakuma town has developed much more than it was back in the day. But there was nothing. I went into the government office and I had to be registered. And then I was taken to the compound that I was staying in. So as part of my orientation, taken to my room, and the first thing I was told, okay, so before you sleep, you have to check under your pillow, shake the curtains, make sure you put a towel to cover your door. Apochini, where there's a gap, make sure you put a towel there. And at night here, we only put on sneakers. So I thought, oh, that's odd. And I asked why. Is it because of the mosquitoes? Why am I checking under my pillow and under the bed? And the lady told me, oh, it's because there's scorpions and there's poisonous spiders as well. and there's puff adders. But puff adders are amazing because they warn you before you approach them. So don't worry too much about those ones. Hey, let me tell you guys, when she left the room, I picked up the phone and called my mom and told her, listen, I can't. Tomorrow, I need to be home. And I said to myself, I have made a lot of stupid decisions in my life, and this is definitely one of them. I said, I can't do this. And my mom said, oh, okay, I'm running into a meeting, but I'll call you later on. We can talk later on. Then after that, I called my supervisor. He was an American psychologist, is an American psychologist. And I hadn't told him that I was going to the camp, and I wanted to surprise him. So I pick up the phone and I tell him, listen, guess where I am? I'm in Kakuma. And he told me, what, Linda? We didn't think you'd actually go to a refugee camp. Why? He was surprised, but his main concern was that I wasn't psychologically prepared to be there. And truth be told, I actually wasn't. There's something about listening to stories of war and conflict that really just burdens you. I had lived in a tiny cocoon, read about these stories, but I never actually heard them for myself. Been in a situation where I'm exposed to people that have experienced war and conflict. Listening to those stories every single day because I had to do research for my thesis was one of the most burdening things. So my mom called me later on that day, and I was invited to a party in one of the compounds. I think it was the WFP compound. And I was doing well. I adjusted quite quick, and I was like a typical 21-year-old. My coping skills involved copious amounts of alcohol. So I was perfectly fine, and I survived my time at Kakuma refugee camp. After that, I went to Burundi, and I stayed with an amazing family, with one of my closest friends. Her name is Dali Darlan, and her amazing family, and it was a good time. Again, I got exposed to child soldiers. I got exposed to prisoners that were part of the genocide in Burundi, and she shared her story with me as well. So that was my journey to professional troublemaking, right? Linda Tendwa, I am a mom of two. Now, before I go on to my babies, African women, we must introduce our children first, and our entire families. I am a mom of two anyway. So after my time in Burundi and Kakuma, I got into the corporate world. Ooh. High heels, huh? I'm running for a meeting, guys. Those are the things that were always coming out of my mouth. Is this scalable? Huh? Presentations, death by PowerPoints, that was me. And has been me for a very long time. So I was in the corporate world for quite some time. And for 6 years, I worked for a multinational, an amazing multinational, where I was in procurement. And I got amazing exposure in this multinational. A month or two after I joined the company, we went to Seychelles. We went for a conference. However, this was not a conference. It was like half a day of a few breakout sessions here and there. And after that, it was pure fun. And that was the point of the trip, because we had just passed an audit and the business had the previous year just failed an audit. So it was a treat for everyone that was involved in the audit. Let me tell you guys, I was living the life. I was living the good life. Seychelles, what do you mean? 2 months after going in, hi. So multinationals happen. 6 years later, last year, June 2021, the business made a decision to outsource procurement. So that meant that I was impacted, that I didn't have a job. But besides being given that news, I was told, listen, you also have to hand over to these new guys that are coming, and they're not based locally. So you have to create standard operating procedures for them. You have to create process narratives, basically make them understand what in specific that you do. And anyone would have crumbled in this situation. I mean, it was madness. Imagine handing over work and you don't know what next. You don't know where your career is headed after that. But when I was given that news, I realized that a huge burden was lifted off my shoulders. And I'll explain this. As anyone in the corporate world will tell you, is that you actually get addicted to that world. You get addicted to the stress without even knowing it. So I would wake up at 5:30 before preparing my son to go to school. Immediately, I would either check my emails or check social media. And you know, when you check your emails at that time, you are bound to find something that will trigger you. Hi, so I prepped my son for school. He's gone into the bus. Now I'm driving on my way to work. A matatu cuts in. Triggered. I'm already angry. I get to work, annoyed, so annoyed. Meet someone at the water dispenser or at the printer, and someone asks, "Oh, Linda, what's up? Why are you looking so angry?" Ooh, I would go off. And then it would just become like a competition, like who can suffer more than you can? Me, you did this, you did that, she did this to me, you know. By midday, I was so exhausted, I was so drained. And you can only imagine how I would feel on my way home. By the time I would get home, I had no time for my kids. My kids suffered emotionally because I wasn't there. I had become so addicted to that stress. Now, it was a fast-paced environment, that much it is. But you know, over time, you condition your body to expect stress at particular times. So at 5:30, without fail, wherever I am, whatever I am looking at, I'd be triggered. By 8 a.m., I'd be triggered. By the evening, I would be super exhausted. To the point where my son would tell me things like, "Oh, Mom, she's always shouting at us. She's never happy. Me, I want to go stay with my grandma." And granted, all kids say that because of the perks they get at their grandparents. Yes, so I began my journey on intentional living when I left this multinational. I feel like I left it for a reason. You know, God puts you in places and you really question why you're there. Why me? But I feel that this served a purpose in my life, and I have grown so much since I left. I have continued to be a professional troublemaker. Now, like I said, we must introduce our children as African women. My children, stand up. This little girl here, her name is Manga. Now, manga means cassava in Taita, my mother tongue, by the way. A lot of people ask me, why Manga? And that was my grandma's name, and almost all the women in my family are called Manga. So Manga is so self-aware, it amazes me. Her language is, I call her a 16-year-old stuck in a 3-year-old's body. Because she understands her emotions and she's able to express herself and verbalize quite well. So sometimes she'll wake up and tell me, "Mommy, I'm not in a very good mood." And that really just means, listen, there's bound to be like 5 tantrums in the day, but I warned you this would happen. When Manga grows up, she wants to be an Airbus pilot, and not just any plane, the Airbus A380. She wants to be a doctor as well, and she wants to be an ice creamer. Now I asked her what ice creamer said. She said she wants to make and sell ice cream. So she's already a businesswoman. That handsome man up there is my firstborn son, Nathan. Nathan is an incredible young man. He's the life of the party, but also a huge, huge geek. And he doesn't like me calling him that. Nathan loves the solar system. He loves planets. Nathan can look up into the sky and tell you, "Mommy, you see that star? That star is called UI Scuti. Mommy, you see that? That's not even a star. That's a planet. That's Venus." He's amazing. When Nathan grows up, he wants to be an aerospace engineer. He also wants to be a pilot. And he wants to become a Ninja Turtle. Now, did you know, according to Nathan, that the solar system, our solar system, the sun is going to go supernova in billions of years' time. I'm sure you didn't know that. And I'm sure you're wondering, so what should we do? Should we stock up? Should we prepare? Should we, create bunkers? No, I wish I had the details of that. I don't, because almost all the time when he's in the zone explaining to me passionately about his planets, when I ask a question, it completely throws him off. He just goes, which really just means, listen, Mom, as per the conversation had on the 23rd of December, we discussed this in detail, email attached. And on the 24th, email attached. Yours truly, Usinibo. Right? But Nathan didn't have a very good start. Now, as a lot of you did, as a lot of you experienced, I was prepared for a natural birth. I did everything right by the books, everything. I drank the right teas. I walked, and I walked. Let me tell you, I walked. I did everything the OBGYN told me to do. On the 22nd of July, 2014, I was walking home, and when I was crossing the road, I felt a really sharp pain in my lower belly. And at that time, I think I was 36 weeks pregnant. So I got home, and I was still staying home with my parents. And I immediately went to bed because I was extremely exhausted. So my mom came home a few hours later, and immediately she asked me, hey, what's up? Why are you sleeping at this time? I told her, well, I'm feeling a bit exhausted and I have cramps, because at that point the cramps had increased. And thank God for mothers, because I was going to stay in that bed with my cramps. She immediately just went, cramps. Ebu, let's go to hospital. So we drove to hospital nicely, began, the process of checking how dilated you are. I'm not going to go into the details because it's traumatic for a lot of us. I hope at some point they will change the way in which they check. So they began the process, but I was told, no, this seems like false labor. However, we want you to stay just for the night so we can monitor you and the baby. So I stayed the night, and the next day, they spent the day checking the baby's heart rate, Nathan's heart rate. And at about 7:30, I'd spent the day. I was very happy. I would spend the day with family, and now everyone has left. At 8, the doctor comes in and tells me, listen, his heart rate is quite low. He's not doing too well. So you're going to have to go into surgery. We have to do a cesarean. And she said, in the next 15 minutes, we gotta go. So if your family is not here, then they're going to find you in theater. Funny enough, I didn't even panic. I just picked up the phone, called my mother. God bless mothers. Called my partner at the time, Nathan's dad, and said, this is happening. So the surgical nurses came in, and I was so prepared, by the way. I'd even put my bags on the bed, and I'm there trying to walk to the theater. They're telling me, no, listen, that's not how it works. You have to be wheeled in to the theater. You don't just walk in like, hey, what's up? Anyway, so I go into theater. I was given the epidural and went down and spent it went by quite quick. It felt like 3 hours, but happened quite quick. And I remember one of the surgical nurses sitting right next to me, trying to keep me awake because I had just had a dinner. So I couldn't sleep. They couldn't put me to sleep. I couldn't sleep because there was a fear that I'd vomit and choke. So he kept trying to keep me awake. What's your plan? What do you do with yourself? And I'm so tired. I'm telling him, no, just stop talking. I hope that guy is still at that hospital, and I wonder if he remembers me. Anyway, so Nathan came, and I remember seeing him for a brief minute, and they always say, look at your baby, check for birthmarks. These days they exchange babies so quick, you never know what happens. I didn't have time. I can't even remember what time he came. I just remember it was the 23rd of July, and it was at night. But immediately the nurse took him, and I saw them rush in, and they disappeared with him. So I went into recovery. Now the next day at about 4 a.m., I'm asleep in the ward, and the nurse comes and she's giving me medication, and I ask her, oh, where's my baby? So she tries to stall me a bit. She says, oh, no, don't worry. It's still a bit early. We'll bring him. I say, okay. Again, at 6 a.m., she comes. I ask her, where's my baby? She says, oh, no, we're waiting for you to have a shower and take a walk, and then we'll take you to see your baby. So at 10 a.m., she comes back and she tells me, okay, now let's go have a sponge bath. So I have the sponge bath. And then when I go back to the ward, the pediatrician comes in and tells me, listen, your baby is not doing too well. We did everything we could. He's fighting in the NICU, but we're positive. We'll take it one step at a time. But I went completely blank. I didn't really internalize what she was telling me. I didn't really understand what that meant. So she left and the nurse came right after her and told me, okay, because I was still at the labor ward, by the way, and the NICU was at the maternity wing. So I went to the maternity ward and I stood right outside this huge door written ICU, NICU, the NICU, and I couldn't believe it. Me. I walked in to a room full of sounds that were just the most discouraging things. Beeps everywhere, teet, 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 and I saw my baby there with an oxygen mask almost the size of his face, fighting for his life, looking so drained, looking so small and fragile. And I broke down and I cried and I cried and I asked God all these questions. Why me? I did everything right, God. And I remember right before they put the epidural in my spine, I had a conversation with him and I told him, listen, if it gets to that, take me. Don't take him. Take me. So seeing my son in that state really put me in the worst of states psychologically ever. So I spent the next 3 days going to see him. I couldn't hold him. I couldn't touch him. Nothing, absolutely no contact with him. At some point, I remember they gave me gloves and I was able to touch his chest a bit through the incubator. But other than that, that's the most that we got to bond. And the 3 days was just filled with tears and repeating the story to visitors over and over again. Every time someone would come in and ask the same question, what happened? And I had to relive that experience, retell the story over and over again. So after 3 days, the doctor comes in and tells me, okay, now it's time to go. So I ask her, what do you mean? What about my baby? She says, oh, you haven't spoken to the pediatrician? I said, no. And she says, well, your baby has to stay here. But if you want to stay, you can stay, but that would be at your own cost. And I thought, oh my gosh, no, how? Why? And I was shown how to take care of my wound. And the nurse told me immediately, you have to come tomorrow to express milk. We need your milk. At that time, I barely had milk. I had drops. How was I to begin expressing milk? And I was told, then buy a manual pump. Those electric ones you people like are not the best. And I thought, gosh. So I went home. I found my parents waiting for me and my auntie waiting for me. And I broke down and cried. Because how can a mother go home after giving birth without her baby? It was the most painful thing. And this is something I would never wish on any mother. Going home from the maternity ward without your baby. So what followed were days of me waking up, being taken to hospital, expressing, my family really trying so hard to encourage me. But let me tell you, ladies, if it weren't engines, if it weren't for the support system that I had around me, I would have easily fallen into postpartum depression because I wasn't given the tools to deal with what I was going through emotionally. I was shown how to take care of my wound. But what about my own the psychological effects, the trauma that I was going through? No one screened me and asked me, are you okay? Right? Are you experiencing any sadness, persistent sadness? No one was bothered. The hospital just said, okay, see ya, but you gotta come tomorrow with expressed milk. So I'll begin with what postpartum depression is. It's one of those things that is thrown around and we don't really talk about it much. There's not a lot of awareness that is brought about it. Postpartum depression is a complex mix of physical, emotional, and behavioral changes that happen in women, some women after giving birth. And it can happen anytime a week or a year postpartum. Now, did you know, as Wairimo stated, that 1 in every 10 women experience postpartum depression? What's even more shocking is that 80% of mothers experience what is called postpartum blues. That means that almost everyone on this call experienced postpartum blues. And 1 in every 1,000 women experience a more severe form of postpartum depression, which we call postpartum psychosis. This is extremely rare, but it does happen. When you leave the hospital, people expect this to be a time of overwhelming joy for you, regardless of what you're going through. Because at the time, there's a lot that your body is going through, physically, emotionally, hormonally as well. How do you tell someone that you don't feel a bond with your baby? How do you express that to someone? What does that even mean? Right? There's so much stigma around depression, we don't really talk about it. And in fact, I want us to get to a point where we stop calling mental disorders. We call them what they are. She is bipolar. She has schizophrenia. He suffers from psychosis. She has postpartum depression. When we do this, we create more awareness about this issue. We're able to take it to the village where they chain people with psychosis and dementia, right? By giving them names, there's also a sense of curiosity that's sparked, right? It's important for us to get to the point where we acknowledge that depression is real. Postpartum depression is real. Now, what are some of the factors that contribute to postpartum depression? Number 1 is a history of depression and anxiety and any mental disorders, schizophrenia, bipolar. But it's also important to note that almost 50% of women that have been diagnosed with postpartum depression had no history of mental illness. And this is because of the environmental factors. What I experienced, my baby being in NICU, I wasn't given the tools to handle the trauma I was going through, prenatal hospitalization, traumatic birth, and we're seeing more and more of this because of the lifestyles that we're living. Again, there's biological factors, the hormonal shifts that we're going through. There's also social factors, and these are becoming so common. Lack of emotional and financial support, marital conflict. I read the other day that almost 45% of whole families in Kenya are run by single mothers. So can you imagine a mom going home from the hospital? She's a mother, she is a father. She's the sole breadwinner of that family. She still has to take care of that child. She doesn't have any help, right? This is a recipe for disaster. It feels like really we're just, it's just madness that surrounds us at the time. It's just failure. It feels like we're just being prepped for failure. But here's the thing, good news is that we're amazing. God gives us, I don't know what it is about mothers, about women. God gives us a strength and a resilience that no one else can explain. So we've discussed what postpartum depression is and the factors that contribute to it. However, it's also extremely important for us to understand the signs so we can acknowledge them in ourselves and in our sisters, our cousins, our wives. Number 1 sign to look out for is persistent sadness. Number 2 is insomnia and extreme fatigue. So you're not sleeping at all, or you're basically just sleeping all day and just extremely tired. Appetite changes. So you're eating either too much or you're not eating at all. Frequent mood changes. Trouble concentrating. So you forget to change baby's diaper. You forget where you place the cotton wool. You forget, you're just not there. And difficulty bonding with your baby. Now, a lot of you are looking at these symptoms and thinking, but I checked a lot of these when I was, during my postpartum time. But it's important to note that in postpartum depression, these symptoms are exaggerated and they last longer than the average 1 or 2 weeks. Now, I had mentioned something called postpartum psychosis. Postpartum psychosis is a form of PPD, postpartum depression, where other symptoms of major depression are accompanied. So thoughts of comments and suicide, feelings of worthlessness, helplessness, hopelessness, and thoughts of harming your baby. Mothers have also reported having auditory hallucinations, meaning you hear radio playing over and over again in your head. With postpartum psychosis, mothers say that they heard the bulb in the bedroom telling them to harm their baby, to kill their baby. So postpartum depression is real, guys. It's important for us to understand, to see the effects and acknowledge them and address them as quickly as possible. I had wanted to share a story of postpartum depression. However, I see we're running out of time. What I'll do is that I'll just share a small story or rather a few seconds of story I read of a mother with postpartum psychosis. The stories of postpartum psychosis are quite heartbreaking, quite disturbing. This lady I read of actually killed her 3 children. And when she killed them, she stabbed them and she laid them according to age on the bed. Her husband had reported prior to that they had been jogging on the street, and then she just stopped. So her husband stopped and looked at her and asked her, "Oh, what's up?" And she says, "Oh, I gotta go and say bye to my kids." So her husband asked, "What do you mean? What does that mean?" And she says, "Well, it's because I'm about to kill them." So he didn't think through this. He just thought maybe it's because she's sleep deprived, because she hadn't slept for quite some time. And sure enough, she did kill her children. And she reported that it's the fan in her bedroom that convinced her to kill her children. So we've said that this is a very safe space. And I just really wanted to find out from you guys, have you suffered from any postpartum depression? Have you heard of anyone that has suffered from postpartum depression? Do these stories resonate with you? Maybe we could just put in the comments, and if you need help, you could reach out to me. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, ladies. There are ways that we could cope with postpartum depression. Number 1 is to ask for help. Always ask for help. If you feel that something is wrong, if you feel that there's no bond with your baby, reach out to the person right next to you, your husband, your partner, your family, your friends. Let them know that something is off. Exercise. There's a beauty in exercising. Of course, after you've gotten consent from your doctor. And this could be evening walks, morning walks. There's something about fresh air in the morning, the sun hitting your skin. There's just something that does to your body. And that also gives you a break. Keep in touch with your family and friends. Do not isolate yourself during this time. This is when you need your family and friends. Take regular self-care breaks. This is so important, ladies. One of the things that I've been unlearning for the past 1 year is something called hyper-independence. I can't ask for help. It's very, very difficult for me to ask for help. I am superwoman. Now is when I'm reaching out to people and saying, hey, can I run this by you? Hey, mom, can you take the kids over the weekend? I'm getting so irritable. But something I was very deliberate in doing is ensuring that I incorporated infant massages in my kids' sleep routines. So at a very early age, my son, by 7:30, my son would be in bed. And until today, my son is asleep by 7:30 sharp, and so is my daughter. I had sworn that I am not going to battle with children until 11 p.m. No. It is not for me. It is not my calling. I can't. And the importance is that the importance with doing that is that you actually have a few minutes to yourself. You have a few hours even to bond with your husband, with your partner. Right? Another way I take my breaks is that I get into the car after lying to my kids that I'm going to the doctor to get an injection so they don't question me. And I drive to a Java and I order a salted caramel milkshake and a cake. Let me tell you, I cannot have it there because it would be too messy. So I grab the stuff and I come sit in the parking and enjoy them. Let me tell you, every single bite without being asked, Mommy, you're not going to share with me. Mommy, mine has finished. Can I have some of yours? And the beauty of where I stay is that there are actually dustbins at the beginning of each block. So I always hide the evidence. But kids are smart. I come up and the first thing my daughter will say, she'll come and smell me and ask, why do you smell like that? What's that you've been eating? Kids are so smart. So I also just want you to share in the group, what are some of the things that you do to take a break? Right? Because God also rested. Wonder Woman rests. It's important for us to take breaks, moms. Just share in the group. What is it that you do? Whether it's going to do your nails, whether it's taking a jog, right? Stealing your children's scripts from the pantry and eating them in the car. It's okay. We don't judge. It's a safe space. Now, back to coping. One of the most important coping mechanisms is massaging your baby, which we are calling infant massages. A lot of people are wondering, what are infant massages? What are they? Is this something that's new? How do you do it? Who can do it? Infant massages are really just normal massages. Of course, with less pressure and more tactical. Infant massages have been around for 4,000 plus years. Their origins are actually in the Pacific and West, in the west of the world, the cultures there. So Indians practice this a lot and have been practicing it for years. Infant massages actually are a mix between Swedish massages, Indian massages, and yoga techniques. And they're highly beneficial. Number one is that they stimulate endorphins and hormones, feel-good hormones. For example, oxytocin and dopamine. And while they do that, they reduce the levels of cortisol in the body. What that means is that your body is not on survival mode. Besides that, infant massages are known to reduce the effects of colic and gas. There's particular massages that we do on the stomach in a clockwise manner that really help the baby release gas. And you can imagine how gas feels for you. When you're bloated, it's a horrible feeling. You can only imagine for a baby. You can grab Eno, you can grab ginger, whatever it is that you take to relieve your bloatedness. But for kids, it's different. Besides that, infant massages foster a bond between baby and mom and dad as well. And I'm happy that there are dads in the group because a dad can also massage a baby. Now, when you're massaging the baby, you're using touch You're making eye contact with the baby. And you're communicating with the baby. I always advise for moms to ask their babies for permission first before massaging. Talk to your baby while massaging. You know, neuroscientists say that the senses are the building blocks in which the brain is constructed. So infant massages benefit your baby emotionally and cognitively. So how can infant massages assist in alleviating postpartum depression? Like I said, they stimulate the senses of touch, sight, and sound in both mother and baby. The feel-good hormone oxytocin is stimulated and levels of cortisol are reduced. Now, for a mom who's battling with postpartum depression, seeing the positive reactions from her baby while she's massaging the baby really give her so much confidence and give her a sense of competence in handling her baby. Besides that, she has something to look forward to at the end of the day. Her mind can practice focusing as she performs the massages and simultaneously negating the negative thoughts that she's had throughout the day. Infant massages have incredible benefits. So how our classes usually happen is that we'll massage one side of the body while the mom or the dad massages the other side of the body. The beauty of infant massages is that they have huge benefits, not just for the baby, but for you as well. Like I said, there's something to look forward to at the end of the day. We start with reflexology on the legs, what we call a milking technique on the legs as well, and work our way up through the stomach. We massage the shoulders, the arms, the back, and even the face. Infant massages you can begin even at a week old. However, I always recommend for us to begin at 2 months when the baby is more aware and more engaging. Infant massages, like I said, have incredible benefits for moms battling postpartum depression. And for dads, you're taught also how to do this so she can get rest. We teach you how to massage your baby so mom can also get a break. Handle the bedtime routine. And the bedtime routine for me is really just creating associations for your child to understand that, now it's time for me to wind down. Because when children are born, they don't know the difference between day and night. So it's up to us to show them this. So you wash your baby, massage your baby. After that, breastfeed your baby and put your baby to bed. And you'll notice that over time, it will begin with your child sleeping for 3 hours. Then it's increased because it is so relaxing. Over time, you realize that your child sleeps throughout the night. And if you're extremely consistent with this bedtime routine, you wouldn't have to battle with kids sleeping at 11 p.m. and kids being at 100% at 10 p.m. when they should be winding down. Guys, postpartum depression is real. We need to be talking about this. Now, I want us to do a very small exercise. It won't take too much time. I'm big on affirmations. I love affirmations. I love meditating. We're going to read this. If you're able to read it out loud, please do so. But every time we read a sentence, I want us to breathe in. And when we breathe in, we're breathing in positivity. And when we breathe out, we're breathing out tension. We breathe in positivity and light, breathe out tension. Let's begin. As a mom, I am doing my best. My best is good enough. Breathe in and out. By allowing myself to be happy, I inspire my family to be as happy as well. Breathe in, out. I become a more confident mother, parent with each new day. Breathe in, out. I am grateful to be living in this divine female body. I am at peace with my body. Breathe in and out. I choose happiness at this moment and not the pain of the past. Breathe in, out. Positive energy nourishes my body and helps me radiate joy to others. Breathe in and out. I am enough. Breathe in and breathe out all the tension in your body. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll take any questions you have right now. And I hope you enjoyed this session.
Thank you so much, Linda. That was so wonderful. And you are a real storyteller. Like, that's for real. And I mean, it's easy to listen to you over and over and over again. You have one of those voices that somebody can listen to continuously. And smiling all through, like even if you're sharing a story that caused you pain, the reassurance in the voice. And I don't know whether your son Nathan knows just how special he is, because through him, then this whole line of massage baby, helping other mothers and their babies has come. In fact, I wanted to ask you that question is, how does procurement in the corporate world collide with infant massages? Like at what point did my infant spa Kenya get born? Because I think there was no, yeah, like they're so unrelated. Like how did that come about?
Okay, so it has always been a passion for me. It's something that, again, a lot of people ask me about. How do your kids sleep so early? How do you do a massage? Why do you talk about massages so much? So I have been procrastinating for so long. And opening my infant spa. It's something that I've been sitting with for years. So I created my infant spa about 3 years ago, and I went silent. And then when I lost my job now is when I realized, wait a minute, I have the time now to focus on this. This is my time to focus on this. So yes, I'm passionate about my infant spa, but I am also super passionate about procurement and creating systems that work for people. So this time that I've been at home has really, like I said, I've been living a very intentional life. I haven't been sitting back and crying about my situation. Oh, why? I'm still actively looking for jobs, but I'm really focusing on my infant spa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good, because it's something that just came out of, people asking you, how do you do this? And that's how, even when people are thinking, what can I do? It's in your story. Your story contains a lot of things. So we have Kendi, who says it's so important to do the inner work on yourself. And she also says you're a natural speaker. And then we have a question: advice to family on how to help a mother suffering from postpartum depression. Like, assume we are the ones who are around a mother who is either going through the blues or the psychosis or depression. Yeah. What can we do?
So this is a first step. Like I said, it's always important to put names to this mental challenges that we're experiencing in the world. Again, incorporating infant massages. However, it's extremely important to reach out to a counselor and therapist to get help. Almost all the time, the mother will not see that there's a problem. She's experienced it. She can tell that there's, a disconnect between her and the baby, but she doesn't know exactly what is happening. So platforms like this, where we're able to create more awareness on what to look out for, and I'm so happy you've asked this question, what to look out for, what you can do. Seek help from a counselor and therapist, and you can call me anytime.
In fact, your mom has written in and she says, very informative. Linda, you brought back so many memories. And I know in a part of those memories is the support they offered you. So what practical support did they offer you? Especially when you say you went home without the baby, and then after the baby came home, what practical support did they offer you?
It's really in the small things. If I'm not wrong, I think my mom took leave during that time. So they would drive me to hospital. I didn't have to take a matatu to hospital. They drove me to hospital, talk to me. There were always people around me, always. Now, given we're a very close family, those that know our family know this. And I also talked a lot to my cousins, and my cousins are really like my best friends and my sisters. And I didn't isolate myself, most importantly. So they provided so much emotional support to me, and the fact that also, I was still staying home, so there was that financial cushion as well.
Yeah. Okay. And the infant massages, is there an age that is best, and at what point do you stop?
So you don't actually have to stop. My daughter, the 3-year-old, still enjoys massages. She always tells me, "Ooh, you better massage my feet," because she has a very interesting Peppa Pig accent. So you start at 2 months, like I said, when the baby is more aware and more calm, and you can bond even better with the baby. But you can massage a child even up to 3-4 years. It's just that now the techniques are a bit different because the baby is slightly older.
Okay. And you said something that was funny to me, that you borrow permission from your child. How is that? I mean, we are African mothers, so how can an African mother ask for permission? It's just come. So take us through that.
Yeah, so it's important, first of all, to ask your child, can I massage you? You're touching the baby's body. This is something that you want them to take later on in life, right? Someone must ask to touch you. Can I touch you? Can I massage you? That's the most important thing. And also they learn also to psychologically prepare themselves, and you as well, you're psychologically preparing yourself.
Yeah, okay, because I found that very interesting, because I don't think we ask for permission from our children for anything. We are like you said, we are the troublemakers in the home. So you mentioned these three: the postpartum psychosis, the blues, and the depression. And you said one of the solutions is enabling the mother, because especially if you have psychosis, you don't want to see your child, you could harm your child, like the story you've given. So any of those three, is there any that would most benefit from the infant massages, or is it everybody? Is there one that you would say especially you?
I would say that postpartum depression and postpartum blues would highly benefit from this. Postpartum blues, like I said, is something that we actually, almost all of us have experienced. Postpartum psychosis is actually treated as a medical emergency. So the mother needs to urgently be taken away from her baby. And now in the Western world, of course, after she's taken away, then she needs to be taken to a psychiatric ward where she's given even more attention and care. And in the Western world now, they have what's called mother and baby units. So they have scheduled visits for the mom and the baby. So the mother sees the baby, even if it's for an hour or two in a day, while she's still been institutionalized. Yes, and this aids in development. So postpartum depression and postpartum blues, and I believe that everyone can actually benefit from infant massages. But postpartum psychosis, like I said, and I can't emphasize it further, is a medical emergency.
Okay. Because I remember I had a colleague once who was talking about the newborn, his brother and wife got a newborn, and it's like, my sister-in-law is just acting mad all the time. She's just mad. It's like she doesn't want the baby. So I like what you've said about just say what it is. Let's not just, put this umbrella and then just, it's like them and us. Us, we are okay. Them, they are all mental cases. But when you mention, then I can easily direct. And I remember telling him, I almost had postnatal depression. Please have her checked, because it's not something you sit and then wait for it. It just happens. It just happens. We all, like you said, there are those that are more prone if you have depression in your family. But for some, it's first time. It wasn't, it just happens that you start having all these feelings and the symptoms that you mentioned. And so I was so happy that I knew, because I used to cry all the time with our firstborn. I was like, no. Like, yes. I love being in control. This not being in control, yes, with this baby, I don't like it. And I remember, just having those feelings and speaking to somebody like, this is why I didn't want to have children, because I don't know, I'm going, I got the support. And so that's why I love that the number one thing you're saying is have a support system. No one will, I remember a friend telling me, no one is going to clap for you as a mother. You need help, get help. Don't wait for people to be the ones who offer. Ask for the help yourself. Now, because the hyper independence, nobody claps for you. There's no trophy that you're given. In the course of your work, when you say, my name is Linda and I run my infant spa Kenya, are there people who laugh at you, or people who just like put you down with this work? Like, it's so obvious. Why is it a job? Like, what are some of the things, negativity kind of, that you receive? And it's because of ignorance, like I said, this is the first time I heard that there's even such a, an organization. So what are some of the things, and what do you wish those who are asking them, listening and asking themselves those questions, what would you tell them?
Yes, I do get a lot of those, like, what is infant massages? Oh, it sounds so white. That's some of the things that I say. It just sounds like something the Zongos do. And truth be told, it actually didn't originate from them. It originated from the West. It originated from Africa as well. A lot of African cultures practiced it for a very, very long time. And when we began the call, I remember us having this conversation, and Wairimu mentioned that she had a nanny that would actually massage her baby, and she didn't really understand it. So these are practices that have been there for centuries, right? And these are practices that can be even given to a nanny, right? These are practices that dad can do. So I get a lot of those. Oh my gosh, why babies? And if you know me, you know that I don't like being pregnant. That process, and it's not that I really had bad pregnancies, but my threshold for pain is so low. So cesarean for me was just like, oh, number one, it was like, okay, out of necessity. Then number two, I just sat down and I told God, listen, I can't do this again. I love babies, but I'll take care of other babies. Don't give me another baby, please. Oh. So yes, I do get a lot of those. And gosh, I'm happy to receive calls. If you're curious about it, we can discuss it further, and I can visit your home and show you how beneficial it is. Yeah. But for me, like I mentioned, I really wanted to have me time. So I began incorporating infant massages without really knowing the benefits. Right? Without, besides inducing sleep, what more can these infant massages do? Then as I massaged my child, then I discovered, oh my God, it actually helps with gas. I've realized that even I'm relaxed as I'm massaging my baby. So it's just something that you need to practice and become more aware of, and practice and be consistent in the massaging for you to feel the benefits.
Yeah, because I remember colic was terrible for our firstborn. So that means mom doesn't sleep. it means she wants to breastfeed all the time. So then mom, you don't get to rest. And so especially if you've gone through CS, like I also did for my 3, and I had this baby who, never slept. So yeah, you're almost done. Like you give up so easily. So if there are practical ways, like you're telling us, you can massage your baby, which means they get to sleep. If you do it consistently, you can almost tell I have an hour, 2 hours for me to be able to relax before baby wakes up, which means milk production is in plenty. Like the benefits, while it seems like such an obvious thing to do, the benefits are many. So you mentioned about another Wairimu. We're actually 3 on this call. So we have another Wairimu on this call who also is in family, and I think she will be a guest soon and she will talk about that. So we have a comment from a lady called Judy Andy. She says, I'm watching. She loves this topic and it's so informative. Judy has actually been a guest on Chasing Courage, and she deals with deaf moms and mental health. So I know at some point I can link you up, because I think you'll be of benefit to even teach the deaf moms how they can help take care of their babies. So I know with Judy, that's a whole new line of friendship that will be opened up, because I think the love for the mom being okay, even though we are saying, take the baby, let the baby be fine, I would rather die. But now that you're alive, be well, because when mom is well, everybody else in the family is well. So
It's
how can,
true.
yeah.
We as mothers, we have a huge burden. Society relies on our mental health to thrive. Our children rely on our mental health to thrive. There's a huge burden that sits on our shoulders. So it's extremely important for us to recognize when we need breaks and to take breaks when we actually do need those breaks.
Okay. So maybe as we come to the end, and I'm so grateful for this discussion that we've had, maybe you can tell people where to get you. What are your contacts? What services, broad, little and big, do you offer, so that they can be able to reach you?
Okay, so my infant spa is a mobile spa. So we actually come to you. We do the massages at the comfort of your home. We use the oils that you're already using on your baby, be it sunflower oil, be it coconut oil, whatever it is, be it shea butter, whatever it is that you use, we use your oil and we come to you. And we strongly encourage for the dad to be present as well, for him to also experience it, because us guys have a natural bond with our children. Dad also needs to have that bond. He also needs to feel relevant as well. So besides infant massaging, what I look to do in the near future, in a few months' time, is creating mom pods. So we meet at a central space. I teach you how to massage your baby, but most importantly, I want us to have a community of moms that is able to share experiences. You sit with a mom, understand what she's going through, share your experience as well. And also, by seeing another mom who's not perfect, her hair is looking shabby, her tummy is also hung is as loose as yours is. It also inspires you, because out there, the narrative of a super mom is pushed everywhere, right? That tiny mom that has just bounced back from giving birth is pushed everywhere, right? So I just want us to create a community where moms are able to share their experiences, and also a space, a non-judgmental space, where if a mom has postpartum depression, psychosis, she's able to get help and ask for help. And besides that, I also do nanny training. So I'll come to your home, equip your nanny with skills on how to take care of your home and the baby. Because almost all mothers are anxious about leaving their babies after birth, after maternity leave. You don't know if this is someone that is able to handle your baby well. What if she does this? What if she does that? So it's extremely important for us to train our nannies, to train the women that we leave our babies with, to respect them and equip them with the necessary skills that they need to take care of our babies. Just because she's worked with babies before doesn't mean that she knows how to handle your baby. Homes are different, parents are different, babies are different. Yeah, she could have been working with a baby boy, and baby girls are different in the way that we clean them, the way that we change baby girls' diapers. So yes, those are some of the services that we offer. And here are my contacts. My phone number is there, and you can follow us on Instagram and on Facebook.
All right, I love that. Thank you so much, Linda. This has been exciting, educative. No laughing anymore at infant massages. We know, and I love that you mentioned cognitive, because we also want sharp babies. We are running to get our children past KCP. If there's a way we can start them off through small things like baby massages, communicating with them so that they get to understand. You talked about your children, they have such confidence. I'm sure it didn't just come from school. It's something that happened through those communication with your baby. So I mean, the benefits outweigh any, if at all, negatives that would come from this. So I'm so thankful for your time. Everybody, please write down the numbers. Please follow Linda. I'm sure she'll be educating mothers also in her pages so that you don't miss out, especially if you're a new mom. There is no reason, like there's support systems all over the place. You don't have a sister or your mom, you have Linda, you can reach out to her, and I'm sure she can come and just help you be more confident as a new mother. And so thank you so much for those who are listening in. A lot of love from friends and family, Linda, that you can read afterwards. But I hope that even those who are going to watch the replays, it's okay to leave questions. I'm sure I can tag Linda so that she can answer them directly. So thank you so much. May the Lord bless you and keep you. And I hope that we can meet here again or in Linda's page or wherever God will send us. So thank you so much. I think we can now end the stream.